G'day. It's time to down your unders. Review and dissection of content from some of the sharpest minds in the game. Hosted by Adam Camilleri. Art of War. Down Under.
Hello and g'day everyone out there in the world of 40k. We are back with episode 205 of the Art of War Down Under podcast. This is Adam, as always, and it is the 2 weeks before the WTC freaking C or something like that. I don't know. It's a small event. You've probably never heard of it. I am joined by my old default, the Swoley one, the one and only athlete in Australia. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm the guy who comes on the show when no one else is free, right? That's kind of how it goes these days.
You are incorrect, sir. Because I actually did not ask anyone else to be on this episode with me. Literally asked you. I will even send you screenshots of my Facebook chats.
My heart is so full right now.
Well, it was actually hard because the episode, I should have told you guys what the episode is. The episode is going to be doing WTC list analysis. We're going to be going through 3 nations on part 1 and 3 nations on part 2, unpacking what their 8-player lineup is, their factions, their lists, their archetypes, their tech, and then diving into, what is this list good into, what is it bad to, what do we think, and why do we think they have taken this faction in this list to the WTC. And of course, I wanted somebody who's been to the freaking WTC on this show. I needed somebody with WTC experience, and whilst I have a little bit myself, I wanted somebody who had just as much, if not more. And I didn't feel all that comfortable asking a bunch of my European mates or American mates because I was almost certain they were going to say no. So I asked my old mate Soli to come on, and he said yes. And naturally, because of that, we will not be doing Team Australia because I believe that would be rude to ask Matt to unpack his own team and possibly give away any insights. I feel like that would just be disrespectful. And so, we're going to be doing that to the best of our freaking ability, mate. But firstly, how are you feeling about the WTC coming up? This will be your 4th?
3rd WTC, but if you include ETC, it'd be number 4, man.
I include them. I think they count, especially the 2019 one, which was amazing.
Yeah, amazing event. Yeah, man, very, very excited. It's, the best time of the year. It's a really good quality event. Obviously most of the best players in the world in attendance pretty much every year. So it's always really exciting, man.
Fantastic. Now you're playing for Team Australia once again, of course, which have a raffle going on. Do you want to tell us about that in case people want to get on and support the Aussies?
Yeah, probably only really suitable for Australian listeners. Unfortunately, I think shipping internationally would be cost prohibitive. You probably wouldn't want your prize.
Unless you're coming to the WTC, in which we can just hand it off to you.
Yeah, actually, reasonable shout there, my man. But I believe it's over $6,000 worth of prizes donated to us by a few of our lovely sponsors. You can go check it out on the Team Australia 40k Facebook page. There's not only the details on what you can win, but the details of some of the awesome businesses who have made it possible for us to get over there again this year.
Fantastic. Now, the reason I actually brought up 2019 is because I think the state of the game right now with the WTC, you could only argue right now is a better meta for the game than the 2019 meta we had for that WTC, which was, it was an ETC at the time, but that meta was superb. It was the 3 months after the Orc and GSC release, but it was like the month before the second Marine Codex came in and destroyed 8th edition. And that window is considered one of like the 6-month golden ages of competitive 40k. And people are saying 10.5 is heralded in something similar. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think that meta back in 2019 was pretty close to perfect. I think like Marines in general were a little bit too weak, but the Deathwatch build was really strong situationally, and like GSC were a little bit too strong. But other than that, I think that was like one of the most balanced metas that we've ever had. And you're right, like Space Marine Free War Gear Edition came out right after that and just kind of ruined the whole game for 2 years. But you know what? We had COVID after that, so no one remembers the game being terrible for 2 years.
That's true.
But yeah, the current balance patch is pretty good. I think by and large, we did a pretty good job on it. It's a very, very playable game for almost every faction. Like, sorry, GSC, you're still pretty garbage, but like by and large, man, it's a very good balance patch at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think picking factions for this WTC would have been so exciting. I mean, of course, you're always going to have some lock-ins like Sisters, like A Marine. Mind you, like a month ago, I would have said it was just Blood Angels that were going to be taken, and or Ironstorm if you're willing to put in the really, really protected table picks and things like that. And now I'm just like, there's 4 different Marine archetypes being taken three apart from Blood Angels. There's plenty of Space Wolves. There's a couple of people playing Vanguard, and there's plenty of Dark Angels as well. So that's really exciting. And then down from there, it just is still just as juicy. Plenty of Thousand Suns, plenty of everything else as well. But we are going to be unpacking 3 nations in particular on this side of the show. Those 3 nations being Poland and then Norway, because it's just going to be, I love the Norwegian boys. So we're going with best overall last year, number 1, the reigning defending champions of the world, Poland. We're going to be unpacking first. And then we have the best sports, which was Norway last year. So we're going to be unpacking them second. And then third, we've got the US of A. Some people are saying they are definitely one of the hopefuls and one of the likelies. I think it would be a huge disappointment for the US, this USA team, to not crack a podium at a minimum. Third place would be like the pass mark. First place is definitely within their grasp. So we're going to do them also. And then over on part 2, we're going to do 3 more. We're going to do England. We're going to do France. We're going to do Germany. And then we're going to do one spicy list that has been requested to be picked out in special by one of our patrons. So if you want to get over on that, that is over on Patreon at AOWdu. Jump on in, get some more goodness. Next week, I might be doing a similar show to this, but I'm hopefully actually going to be doing unit stats. If I have enough time, I'm going to go through every single freaking list in the WTC, and for factions requested by my patrons, I'm going to unpack how many of each unit was taken for said faction. I've already had that requested by a patron for AdMech. They want to know, and I'm going to unpack every AdMech list, add up how many freaking Skitarii Marshals I've taken at the WTC, and then you'll be able to see the units that the best players in the world think are worth taking to the most competitive event in the world. And that'll inform a lot of people out there. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome. You want to know a fun fact, Adam?
What?
There are 3 units of World Eaters Terminators at WTC.
Really? What crazy madman would take World Eater Terminators, a unit that no one thinks is good, to the WTC? I'm shocked.
I'm just saying, there's 3 units in the whole event. Are they concentrated within one list? Maybe.
If it was 3 units of
a fun little factoid.
If that was 6 units of 5 across 6 lists, be very interesting. But as it is right now,
it would be meta. It would actually be a Terminator meta in that point.
It would be meta. But no, unfortunately, our Lord and Master, the captain of Team Australia, has taken 30, and he's either going to prove the world wrong or correct. We will find out together.
Yeah, someone's wrong. It's either Dean or everybody else. Yeah. I can't wait to find out which way this goes.
I love it so much. This is the conversations that I love about the WTC, because so many nations think they've got the hot shit, think their lists are number 1 and will carry the day. Their lists and their players are the best. And when you get there, someone has to be wrong. Of the how many nations are coming, only one is correct. One nation got it right, and even then, sometimes not always. It's not unusual for the winning team to have one list in their lineup that's just like a nothing burger and didn't do anything like they wanted to. Case in point, 2018 when the USA won the ETC, they had Andrew Gonyo on a anti-infantry list of just a bunch of Deathwatch aggressors and bikes. And he never played a Horde list once, and he got run over, and they still won the ETC that year. So perfect example. But mate, let us jump straight in. We're starting off with Poland. Literally, like I said, the reigning defending champions. They've won the WTC. They won it last year. And if they go back to back, they will be the second country in history to ever do so. And of course, the country that did that previously was Germany, but that was many years ago in almost a different era of the game. Going back to back in this current era, I think is even harder than then. But mate, if you were to give us a hot take on Poland's lists, just off the cuff, what do you think of them? Feel free to talk some smack as well. We're not smack adverse here.
No, they're pretty good, right? I think Poland have. If I had to guess, I think they probably got the second best list comp in the event. I think France is better, and we'll talk about that when we do France. But I think second best list comp at the event, probably the best players at the event. Let's be real here. They've probably got the absolute
average best,
on high tier players here. Yeah, they're pretty good. I think they've got just the right amount of off meta to, do to have this effect. Like we love it here. We obviously always play something that's slightly a bit weird. Australians love to do that, and it's honestly so people don't waste time practicing into you, or they waste too much time practicing into you.
Yeah,
I think Poland have got the right mix of that. A few of their lists are just a little bit off meta. Then they've got the two wild cards we'll talk about when we get to them. But I think that's really good. I think they're solid all over. I reckon top three almost guaranteed. You'd have to think they're either the favorite or a very close runner up to the favorite. I think they're going to do very well.
Agreed. All right, let's jump in first up, and we're going to leave names out of these, but you probably know if you're paying attention to WTC, you can definitely go and look these up at some point soon. The list will be made public. But first up, we have the Thousand Suns, and this is, of course, the only detachment they can take. Double Exalted Sorcerers on disc, who did receive quite a few nerfs, but are still seeing some investment here. 3 Infernal Masters, 1 with Umbral Crystal, 1 with Arcane Vortex, the other one Bear. Magnus the Red, Thousand Suns Sork with Lord of Forbidden Lord, nothing surprising there. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 units of 5 Rubrings, double Mutalith Vortex Beast Mortalith, and 2 units of 10 Cultists plus 3 in Zangor Enlightened. How do you feel about this one? And how do you feel about the Mutaliths coming in as being like the new tech for Thousand Suns?
Yeah, this is like the net list, but probably the best version of the net list, right? This is just the best version of rubric spam with Cabal point spam and a couple of muters to help you sort of hold primary. I really like muters. I played them when I played Thousand Suns. I think they're a really good unit. They're tough. Yeah. They're an awkward profile. They, give you some weird jank. They give you some tough OC. Like, look, rubric units are expensive and they just die. So having something go sit in an objective and not just die is pretty nice. Having something that sort of needs the same guns to kill as Magnus is pretty nice as well. I think it's really good. Make a test.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Like the yardstick you should measure the rest of them against. This is the best version of the net list.
Well, I've seen a lot of people say that 3 is the right number of Mutalists, that it's either 1 or 3, but this list has taken 2, and I'm really excited to see if that is the correct number also. 19 Cabal.
We've got 2. We've got 2. 2's right.
I think 2's fine. I think 2's absolutely fine. I don't think there's a wrong number. It's just I think when you get to 3, you have to start making a concession to the fact that if something goes wrong, you're probably going to need to hold objectives with rubrics, which is a terrible idea. That's just causes so many issues for the list. 19 Cabal points is what this is starting at. Why is that an important number, mate?
Well, it's not. I guess 19 itself isn't necessarily an important number. It just lets you do a lot of things, right? So it's obviously got all the all the juicy enhancements, the crystal, the vortex, the Lord of Forbidden Law, so we can do all of the great things. 19 lets you double Doombolt and double move. That's probably the real key here is that 19 is the exact enabler for that little combo. It lets you do
that's what I was going for
as well, but that's probably that's probably why you're building 19. To be fair, if you want to do that all game, you kind of need more than 19 because your opponent's just going to kill one thing and then all of a sudden you don't have 19 Cabal points anymore, but gets you at least one turn of the old double double move.
Exactly right. And so it's that turn 1, especially on the WTC tables, it's very hard in a pairings matrix to get something that's always going to be able to pick up a Rubik squad turn 1 against you. You can definitely pair around things that can put you under first turn pressure. The 19, exactly to your point, double Doombolt and the double move means that you'll always get to kill something of theirs from safety and start the trade war at least 1 point up. But anyway, moving on to the Custodes. Freaking Custodes. Firstly, but I'll run you through the list. Of course, it's a shield host. We've got a Blade Champion and Valerian, who I think he joins a squad and gives them Armor of Contempt, if I remember correctly.
I think it's just in combat, or is it? I don't know. Unless it's changed. I'll be honest. I read the Custode book and I thought it was garbage, and I didn't look at it again. So
so did the rest of the world. And then Team Poland's like, that's good enough for WTC. So this one is one of those 2 X Factor picks you were mentioning before. We have a unit of 4 Custodial Guard, a Sister Silence Rhino, double Caladius Grav tanks with Arachnus, 2x4 Wardens, 2x5 Prosecutors, 2x3 Venatari, and then 2x5 by 4 Witch Seekers, and then a Calidus and Caria Draxus. So naturally, you can switch up a bit with what you do with your characters, but only have the 2 characters means that they almost certainly go with the Wardens. Then Draxus goes with the Guard, of course, sits safe with that nice lone op, has decent amount of anti-tank firepower by the Caladiuses. But mate, what do you make of this in total? And what is this good against? Because it must be good against something.
It must. I'm not sure I know the answer, but I think this is a situation of they probably know a little bit more than I do. I'm not exactly sure what the goal for this list is here. I think, like, if I had to guess, I think it's just to play the scrappy matchups and try and get draws out of armies people don't want to play. I guess it's relatively okay into stuff like Blood Angels. I think the Sisters Rhino is really cute. It gives a 3+ filler pain against mortals, so it's kind of resistant to like Thousand Suns. I guess that's something. I'll be honest. I don't know what the what the goal is here. I don't know what they're trying to get with it. But I also think that it can be a situation where people just say, "Oh, custodes are bad. Put my score up," and it ends up getting pairings it shouldn't get because no one wants to be bad into the army that everyone thinks is bad. No one wants to put a negative score on your matrix because everyone thinks custodes are bad. And that just means sometimes you get matchups you shouldn't get. It happens with Chaos Knights. People think Chaos Knights are bad. They feed you stuff they shouldn't feed you, and then all of a sudden you win games because people don't respect it. And I think that's kind of what's happening here.
I 100% agree. Although you hit the nail on the head about the list that I think this is going to try and hunt, if any, because I actually think this wants to look for T-Suns if it can. Because it plays the game. It plays the game with its 4-5 Sisters of Silence units, and then you outrange everything in their army with the Caladiuses, so the Mutaliths kind of get counted out, and then what you're going to end up having to trade out. any unit array rubrics that gets traded out for the freaking Rhino is the worst feeling imaginable. If that's something they can force on you.
I'm not convinced a unit of rubrics actually kills the Rhino. To be fair,
Me too.
Things like Doom Bolts and stuff aren't particularly effective because of the filling pain. It's a bit annoying. I don't know if that's enough to like make it a T-Sun hunter, but I wouldn't be surprised if if this ends up playing T-Suns a couple of times.
When I say T-Suns hunter, I mean more of a neutralizer. I don't think it goes out there and 15s T-Suns or anything, but I think it goes out there and stops T-Suns from getting an 18 or a 20 on somebody else.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's probably got like 3 or 4 other really good matchups that we aren't qualified to see because, of course, Poland is one of the best teams in the world for hiding stuff like this. Next up, we have Necrons, which is Awakened Dynasty, which going a little bit against the grain. The most taken detachment for Necrons is Hypercrypt, which is, I guess, people just testing and finding out that Canoptic Court can't reach high enough. And the differentials that Corrupted Court is getting now are actually starting to get quite a bit smaller. So we have a Chronomancer with the Veil of Darkness, Illuminor Caesaris, Immotector Stormlord, a Locust Lord with a Resorb, Locust Lord with a Resorb, 2 Psychomancers, a Scorpec Lord with an Dermal Bond, Enema Dermal Bond, and then a Technomancer with the Netherrealm Casket, 10 Immortals, a Reanimator, 6 Wraiths, 2 Crypto Thralls, 2 single Locust Destroyers, 3x3 Heavy Destroyers, and a Triarch Stalker, mate. This is a very interesting package. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty baller, to be honest.
Me too.
I don't know how good it is, but it's cool. I think it does a lot of really interesting things, right? The Locust Lords and Destroyer units shoot really well. They're Awakened Dynasties. They get the +1 to hit. They pop off. Sisters hate this. Like Sisters hate this with a burning passion. Blood Angels, I don't think love it. I think this really plays into that, and I think it's actually pretty okay into T-Suns too. I think it kind of hits on 3 of the scarier armies in the game right now. And Poland have done this before, right? The year that we won the first WTC, we dropped. I'm misspeaking here. Sorry, last year. So the year that they won, Custodes were pretty good.
Yeah.
Rather than just taking Custodes, Poland just built lists that
annihilated them.
Really pushed in Custodes.
Yeah,
and that's part of the reason why they did so well. And I think this is built specifically for Sisters BAT Suns.
Yep, I agree. And I think even further to what you said there, like Custodes were the 3rd best army in the game at that point. It was Eldar, GSC, then Custodes, which was the assumption out there. And so they were like, well, it's not worth trying to counter Craft Worlds because nothing does it. It's GSC's too janky and there's a lot of work. But man, these Custodes, we can really work and plan against this. And man, they did it. They cracked those Custodes like nothing. This list also shows a hell of a lot of confidence in an intermission pack, because when I read this list, I'm like, this thing is ripe as all get out for assassination. But people will not take fixed. People will not risk taking fixed in Pariah Nexus, and this is like a testament to that, especially the WTC. It'd be such a confidence pick to take fixed against this.
So here's the thing, right? If you assume that it is hunting like a subset of factions, like the ones I just gave you that example of, right? You assume it's getting those matchups, and those are lists that are potentially problems elsewhere. And your opponent picks fixed, and they pick assassinate, and you backboard, and you play, and you lose, and you get your 7 or 8 points because they blow you out on primary.
Correct.
But they get nothing on one of their secondaries. You're very happy going back to the team saying, "Hey, I got 9 on this because they,
against their best list." Yeah,
and then we don't have to worry because no one else has to play their sisters, their T-sons, their
exactly
whatever it might be. I think that this list is going to be really good in pairings. It might not be the best list on the table, but I think it's going to do some good things in pairings.
And you perfectly said, brother. I couldn't have said it better. Next up, we have Grey Knights, of course, Teleport Strike Force. Brother Captain freaking Stern. We're going to have to remember what he does. Libby with Sigil of Exigence, Grandmaster with Demonica Liber. So Domina, Liber, Demonica, another GMDK. So that's 2 GMDKs with first of the fray on the second one, and then the third one is Bare Bones. So triple GMDK. We're still in this world. 5 Terminators, 5 Strikes, 5 Interceptors, and then 3 DKs. So 6 DK package. No Canis, which is probably a sigh of relief for some people, and probably this list is much better because of it. What the hell is Stern bringing to this?
I'm pretty sure he just gets up when he dies, right? Isn't that his thing? It's just like making him slightly better as a primary holder thing.
Well,
it's an end of the phase get up, I believe, as well. So it's like it just helps you play primary a little bit.
Yeah, fair. I'm going to go quickly to his data sheet and just have a gaze because I ain't seen Stern in some time. And I want to see him because I like old Sterny. He's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he just gets up when he dies, and he has like a 4 sword. He's not particularly good in combat, but he does some mortals or something. I don't know.
All right. Whilst this model is leading a unit, each time model that unit makes a melee attack on a critical wound, you suffer 1 mortal wound in addition. So he can, I believe, can he join strikes or is he joining the Termies?
He goes in Termies or Pallies, I believe. He's a Terminator model. Yep.
And the first time it's destroyed, roll a D6, 2+, set the model up on the battlefield close as possible. Yeah, he does get back up. 4 wounds remaining, which is 6. And of course, he has toughness 5 with a 2+ say 4 up invuln. So yeah, you're absolutely right. He can be run as solo as well, or you can try and run into do a few mortals to, I don't know, Catan or something. But that is really cute. That is really cute tech. And that's the kind of stuff, the whole, half the reason we're doing this episode is so we can unpack some of this cool stuff for people. But what do you make of the GMDK skew or the DK skew?
Oh, yeah, it's literally just the Dread Knight list, right? I think it's the Dread Knight list plus Stern. It's really good. It's a really aggressive attacker, with table choice, with matchup choice. This army kills things. I think if you've ever watched sort of the 6DK army play a game on a stream, it either wins really big or it loses really big. And when you have pairings priority, you don't really have to lose very big.
Yeah.
You kind of get to pick your matchups, and if you give it pairings priority, it's pretty scary.
Agreed, mate. All right, next up to the sisters. This is Bringers of Flame, which should come as no surprise. Canoness with a jump pack with Fire and Fury, who almost certainly is going to be joining 10 Seraphim down the line. Dialogus, Celestine, and the Triumph. So taking Celestine, which is cool. We've got double Immolator, double Castigator, and then I'm assuming double Dominions. Yep, double Dominions. Paragons, Warsuits, Paragon Warsuits. 2 units Paragon Warsuits, and then 10 Seraphim, mate. So double Paragons and no more than Vile. So just roaring it, just like no assistance there. And so Celestine, of course, will go with 1 unit of 10 Dominions. Seraphim, and of course the Canoness with jump pack will go with the other one, making 2 really good units that are extremely flexible and extremely killy. And then you can't just charge them with nonsense and think you're going to pick them up because the Canoness will go Super Saiyan and Celestine's a monster. But mate, what do you make of this list? Because there are some very unusual choices here.
Yeah, I think it misses Morven. I think she adds quite a lot to this army. It does struggle to kill vehicles without the Morven rerolls. Admittedly, the Paragons are pretty good just raw. They're actually pretty good straight out of the box. But I would prefer Morven and 3 Paragons to just straight up 6 Paragons personally. I think that it's a better package. I think that it means that the the CP investment for like rapid ingress matters more. I think that it means you can overwatch with them a bit more, more reliably. Like I like Morven. I think the list is pretty good though. I think that they've made some choices here that we definitely considered. We picked Celestine in the end. We looked at the double Seraphim army for double Seraphim units for quite a while, and we sort of ultimately decided we didn't want to go this way, but I guess we were sort of 150 points behind where they were because we have Val in our list.
Yep.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's a bit more quirky than the other sisters lists.
Me too. I really want to see this list play because I want to know how he's using the Paragons. Are they both just going to be reserved like rapid ingress threats, or are they is he a crazy man? They're starting on the table and just going to be working their way up or something wild. I do love the double Seraphim units. I think they make the army though. I think they're absolutely superb. Yep. All right. Moving on down, we have Chaos Space Marines. This is the gunline Chaos Space Marines. This is the math Chaos Space Marines. Single character, no Chaos Lords here, no Cypher, Abaddon. That's it. One character. 10 cultists, 2x3 Chaos Bikers, a triple Predator Destructor, triple Vindicator, a Hellbrute, and 10 Warp Talons. And a Beast of Nurgle and 6 Nurglings. Yeah. I wonder why 6 Nurglings not 2x3? Because it's not really.
They have 24 wounds, so you can your opponent doesn't get to redraw
Color Horde. Yeah, so he's just crossing that breakpoint to dead draw somebody on their cards. Yeah. What do you make of this list? Because it looks like guard to me. It looks like it's 6 good hulls.
So I don't like playing armies like this personally. However, I have it on good authority that Skark destroyed everyone at Pyro with this army, and then 4 different teams took it to WTC. So it must be good.
It must be good.
I also think that I've got 38 3-win bodies in my army, and I really don't want to play 3 Predator Destructors, to be honest.
Correct.
It's pretty spooky for me. That being said, look, these are just good data sheets, right? Bikes are good, Predator Destructors are good, Vindicators are good. They all reroll to hit. They'll get extra AP if you're on an objective. Like they're just kind of doing good things.
I misspoke, by the way. This isn't guard at all. This is Ironstorm. This is Space Marines Ironstorm. And you said it perfectly because I reckon this is to kill Marines and CSM.
Yeah, this like Blood Angels does not want to borrow this.
Absolutely not.
But it's horrific. Yeah, BA does not want to go anywhere near it. To be fair, Sisters don't really want to go anywhere near it. Like,
true. Yeah,
the Vindicators on Overwatch with rerolls and sustained actually kill things.
Because that's the key piece here is the Hellbrute that gives them double pact, right? So the Hellbrute has an aura of you get both lethals and sustained, and then of course you have Abaddon here, kind of the other tech piece sticking it all together, and that's all you need. That's all you need to just take these 6 tanks and make them wildly effective.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I think it's a very good list. I think it's likely to do very well. I think that this is again another one of those armies that needs some level of pairings priority, but if it gets it, it will do very well.
Agreed. I do love the idea that in like the playing against melee armies, you can run the 6 Nurglings as a line behind like 3 or 4 hulls, and just like Blood Angels go in with -1 attack, and then all of a sudden it's really iffy if they kill a Vindicator with like 5 Death Company. Yeah, that's cute, real cute. Okay, Admech is up next, the other spicy choice. This one is a Skitari Hunter cohort, of course. We've got Belisarius Call, who is looking more and more like an auto take in the world out there. Skitari Marshal with Battlesphere Uplink. We have another Skitari Marshal with Cantic Thrallnet and a Techno Archaeologist. We have only 2 units of 10 Vanguard, which is way less than people play in singles. Usually you'll see more like 6 units of Battle Line. 1 Dune Rider, and then I believe we have, it's 2x2 Ballistari and 1x3 Ballistari, of course. One of which has autocannons, the Mad Lad, 2 with las cannons, 1 with autocannons. The 3-man, the 3 chickens has the autocannons, and then a bunch of birds, just so many birds. 5, 10 Skystalkers, and then I believe it's the same sterilizers. 5, 10 sterilizers, 5 infiltrators, and 3 dragoons with taser lancers. I've played a couple games against Admech now, and I've been pretty impressed, mate. What's your take?
Yeah, I think again, this is one of those situations where they've gone a little bit off meta and they've got some stuff that people might not necessarily spend time practicing against. in terms of like what AdMech do, AdMech have gotten like the damage output has gone up pretty significantly. They do get less stuff. That's probably good because they were already getting 200 models and it was too many.
And it wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough.
Right.
They could have infinity models and
they have less models that do something now. In terms of what actually goes into a good AdMech list, I'm not qualified to answer this. I'm not qualified to answer exactly what makes the AdMech list good. However, I think this is the right mix of stuff and units to do actions and units to sort of screen out, and then enough hard-hitting shooting that you can't, disrespect it. You kind of have to, pick heavy tables against it, or like, not put up armies that are super vulnerable to shooting. Like, I think it's one of those sort of situations where, this army is going to get a lot of mileage out of table pick. I think that this army on a light table where it's got a million things, it doesn't care if its chaff starts getting picked up, but it can still hold primary, is going to go a lot further than it would on a dense table where someone's really heavy hitting melee army can stage up halfway up the board, then crash into them and just sort of pick up 6 things at a time without much retaliation.
Correct, because nothing in this army is very durable. Everything essentially is for what it is low toughness. I will say I was really, really impressed with Skystalkers. So they work very similar to gargoyles. So they move after they shoot, and if they're within 6, I can't remember if it's 6 or 12 of a battle line unit, instead of moving 6 off that move and shoot, they move 12 off that move and shoot. So they can definitely put you in bird prison, especially with the 10-man. And then in combat, they kind of just hit pretty well with a bunch of decent strength but no AP attacks with double sustained. So they can do okay things, but this is an army that's like, it is allergic to 2-up saves. Essentially, outside of like las cannons, this thing can't really hurt 2-up saves. But I think it's a sick freaking list. I love it a lot. I think it's going to do really well.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think it's I think it'll be great in pairings because people either won't want to play it or they'll underestimate it, and it's going to end up getting scores it probably doesn't deserve. But that's a skill in itself, I guess.
Absolutely. Last up, I believe, or there may be one more, we have Space Wolves Stormlance Task Force. So going off the beaten track here a little bit, there are a couple of Stormlances taken, a couple of Space Wolves taken, but most of the pack is Blood Angels and then Dark Angels. We have a Lieutenant with a combi weapon. We have Logan Grimnar, not on the sleigh, because he's just there for his battle cry pretty much, and then just to be a bit of a beat stick. Wolfguard Battle Leader on Thunderwolf with Hunter's Instincts. Wolfguard Battle Leader on Thunderwolf, just stock, and another one. And then a Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf. Sorry. 3 Wolfguard Battle Leaders on Thunderwolves, 1 Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf, and that one has Fury of the Storm. So one of these is going to be coming in turn 1, one of these units. That's what our Hunter's Instincts is, but I can't remember what Fury of the Storm is off the top of my head. 3x5 Assault Intercessors with Jump Pack, 5 Infiltrators, 5 Scouts, and then what you'd expect, 3 max units of Thunderwolf Cav, a single Vindicator, and 3 units of Wolfen. So this is the last list, and what do you make of it, mate? Wolf Jail taken by frickin' Poland. Who would have thought?
Yeah, this list is really good. I think, look, I really like our Space Wolf list. I think this one's better. The Vindicator is really cool. Has access to the strat for Assault, so advance and shoot. It's also a Vindicator with a reactive move, which is kind of funny.
Yes.
That's pretty spicy. I think the Jump Assault Marines add a lot to this army. The Infiltrator unit adds a lot to this army. I think it's just like, it sacrifices a little bit of the hitting power of the maxed out Wolf squads with like the best characters. Like there's no Canis, but it kind of has a lot of tech pieces that make up for that. I think. I think this might be the best.
Fear of the Storm, by the way, is. Yeah, I think this might be the best Space Wolf list, yeah. The Fury of the Storm is improve the strength and arm penetration characteristics of the bearer's melee weapons by 1, and each time ends a charge move, increase the strength and AP by 2 instead. So that is a pretty juicy enhancement. What weapon are they wielding on that guy? The Thunder Hammer.
That's Thunder Hammer, yep.
Yeah, so strength, 10, AP 4, 3 damage Thunder Hammer on the charge because it's going to be on a wolf?
Yeah,
so it's going to be wolf. Yeah, that's terrifying. That's really good. Yeah, sick list. So now we've gone over the 8-pack. It's very clear they have like quite a few grindy lists, and then a couple of lists that really play oppressive games. So we've got heavy hitters in the CSM. We've got a bit of control in the Custodes and the AdMech. We've got just like best factions in the game picks with sisters, and then some off-meta stuff like put people in wolf jail. We got the GMDK list, which is just always good, and with just a little bit of protection can get great scores everywhere. And then the freaking Necrons in the middle, just being like hunting what opponents are going to try and use to get big scores. What do you make of their 8-pack now that you've gone through it on the show?
Yeah, man. I think it's really good. Like I said, I think they're probably the second best like set of lists just on paper. I still think I like France better. Maybe I'm looking at it from a different perspective than other people might be, but I think I like France better. But I think this list, this 8-pack rather, has no real defined put-ups. Like I feel like they've got several different defenders they can use. They can swap in and out at will. There's nothing that's really telegraphed. They've got a lot of attackers for the meta armies that I think people are going to be attacking with. So I thought they've got like a lot of counterplay there. I just think they've got a really well-rounded 8.
Me too.
And obviously, like I said, some of the best players on those lists.
So for my mind, the only 2 lists there that want table pick, that want like some table protection, would be the CSM, wanting to have a light table, so of course they have the good fields of fire, but not necessarily. They could play on a medium quite well. And the Space Wolves. The Space Wolves playing on a heavy, with especially with the super L's, like the double-sized L's, is going to be really awkward. Just getting those big units around those. But outside those 2, I think they're clean. Like everything else is pretty table agnostic.
Yeah, you're right, man. Like not a lot here cares too much, I don't think. Like you said, some things kind of want a little bit of choice, but I don't think that anything's going to be super unhappy if it gets forced to play on a table it doesn't want to play on. Like obviously,
it's not going to break it.
Ending. Yeah.
All right, heading over to Norway, who were the best sports last year, and I was super proud to see them get it because they are some absolutely phenomenal gents. Starting off with their Necron list, which is which is the one where you jump around? Hypercrypt. That one. Got a Nightbringer, Hexmark Destroyer with Dimensional Overseer, so an additional thing in reserve or picked up. We've got a Plasmancer with a Risen Tyrant, and then 2 Transcendent Catan. So triple Catan so far, 10 Immortals, double DDA, so Doomsday Arcs, 2, or is it 3? Yeah, 3 single Locust Destroyers, and then 2x3 Heavy Destroyers. So no Monoliths, which I think is the better choice at WTC. I think Monoliths can make table choice a little too forced. Whereas I don't hate the triple Catan at WTC, but I'm not sure it would have been what I would have done. I think I like way more just MSU nonsense in my Hypercrypt. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, it's an interesting list. I think this is going to fall into the trap of like not actually being able to attack the things it wants to attack. It can't really capitalize on the Doomsday Arc shooting because if you play on really open tables, the Catans actually kind of get blown up. The Locust Destroyers are okay, but they're much worse than they are in the Awakened Dynasty list we just looked at. But at the same time, it's 3 Catans, right? And some armies can't deal with 3 Catans.
Yeah.
And some armies can't deal with 3 Catans while there are 2 Doomsday Arcs looking at you. Don't forget it's got like a 10-man Immortal unit with a risk. That's, that unit is problematic to deal with for a lot of people as well. So, like, again, I don't think it's like necessarily a great list. I don't think it's a terrible list. I think it's kind of, somewhere in between. It probably has a very specific job that I'm just not seeing here. Like it's 3 Catan and it's a bunch of shooting, and some armies won't play that combination of things.
Yeah, agreed. The 2x3 heavy destroyers are nice. He's delineated. He's taken the destructors, so the big kind of anti-tank shots, and then he's taken the mass shots on 3 of them as well. So he will get to jump around those depending on the matchup, which I think is really quite nice. And then the one that's not being used kind of just sits a backfield, clears some chaff, trades on an objective when need be, whereas the DDAs team up with the other one and they jump around every turn in different firing lanes. So I think that's quite cute. And I guess so. My only fear is that the Nightbringer is going to be in the aggressive matchups. The Nightbringer is going to be strapped to playing goalie for the shooting. against like Blood Angels and stuff like that. It has to like kind of just play defense for the shooting package, because as soon as like one unit of 10 Death Company touches anything in this army, it goes away. So I am interested to see how this one plays, but I do think it's a pretty cool list and should do quite well, especially in pairings. Next up, we've got the Thousand Suns, Ahriman on disc, which actually, funnily enough, is falling out of favor. Poland did not take Ahriman, which is actually quite interesting. Three Exalted Sorcerers on disc, one of which has Athenian Scrolls, one has Lord of Forbidden Knowledge, the other one's bare bones, and then one Infernal Master with Arcane Vortex. So that's like literally one more Disc Lord and an Ahriman over the other two Infernal Sorcerers, and then of course Magnus, because you can't not. Only 5 rubrics, and then triple Vortex Beast, 2 units of Cultists, and 2 Forge Fiends. So trying to play the Daka game whilst using the Exalted Sorks to slow down anything aggressive trying to push on you. I think it's a cute concept. I like the archetype.
Yeah, what are people calling it? Like magical Chaos Knights or something like that?
Yeah. Chaos Knights with jank instead of everything being face up. I actually think this is kind of a cool list.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't like it again because I've got 30 something 3 wound bodies. So looking at 2 Forge Fiends makes me cringe a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's cool, right? Like it does a lot of damage. It has a lot of shooting. It's got a lot of Cabal points. It gets to kind of do all of its tricky things. It's tough. The Mutaliths are they're hard to kill. Like,
Fiona Pain and an Invuln can just tilt.
Yeah, that's it. Like, say what you want about Mutaliths, but they're hard to kill.
And what I like about this is that in pairings, if you haven't done your due diligence and you just look at this as a T-Suns list, this doesn't play like a T-Suns list. This plays like a list with resilience. Usually the only hard thing to kill in a T-Suns list is Magnus. Literally, that's it. Everything else is really kind of easy to remove. And this is flipping that on its head.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, it's it's definitely going to punish people who don't pay attention. I don't think they're counting on people like not paying attention and just assuming like pairing based on it being T-Suns. Right? I don't think anyone's sort of going that far, down the wish list. People just aren't going to read their list. But I do think it's one of those things where it's like it's different enough from other armies that people might overestimate their scores, or they might kind of like say, "Oh, I'm good into the net list, so I'll be good into this." Maybe there's something sort of to be gained there.
So I mean more like it's making all their previous, like every game that you played against T-Suns up until this point, until WTC practice kicks in after lists are reviewed, has been wasted because none of that translates into a good rep versus list. So then you have your 2 weeks to get prep into against this list if you have time. And so that's what I was getting at. But yeah, you said it exactly the same as well.
Yeah, cool.
All right, sisters, we have. Of course, this is a Bernie detachment, whatever it's called. Morven Val, Celestine, and the Triumph. That's it. That's the 3 special characters. That's all you need, baby. Triple Immolator, single Castigator, only single Castigator, 1, 2, 3 units of Dominions, a unit of Paragons, of course, a single Penitent Engine, and then 5/5 Seraphim. Sorry, 3x5 Seraphim and 1x5 Zephyrim. So 4 small squads of jump hacks, and then hammer units in the Paragons, 3 units of Dominions to go and get split up by all the Immolators. And then, Triumph and Celestine and Morven to stick it all together. What do you think about this one? This one seems, I don't know, it seems to me like it lacks a bit of oomph.
Yeah, so this is the interesting thing, right? Like, you're comparing it obviously to the Poland list that we just looked at. And it's like it's got a few, I guess, very key differences from the Poland list. It's playing with Val rather than the weird janky list that I guess doesn't have Val and is trying to double down on the Paragons and trying to sort of I guess almost play that MSU game even though it's not MSU. It's like playing the MSU game with a bunch of relatively high quality units. This one here kind of has all of the trimmings, right? This one here has the 3 beefy characters, 3 immolators. It does only have 1 castigator to be fair, but it's got like the Paragon unit, 2 squads of penitents. 3 squads of Seraphim. 1 squad of penitents, 3 squads of Seraphim, and the Zeph squad. It's got a lot of stuff.
A lot of MSU.
Yeah, I thought this is like a really good mix of MSU, but still kind of keeping the core things, I guess, that make the army really good.
Yeah.
And it's a good mix. Again, it's probably not the most hard-hitting version. It's also not the most MSU janky version. It's somewhere in between. But once these Dominions split up, it has a lot of stuff. I think it's a pretty solid list.
Well, what I love about this version is that because of its MSU nature, it's just going to have miracle dice for literal days as you trade out, and then what you're left with on your turn 3 with your couple of remnant squads, they just pop off. They just pop off with just infinite miracle dice for whatever they want to do. All those immolators, you want immolators you got left, you tune into Dominions that have melter guns, they all just one-shot tanks and stuff. Yep. Because you just do whatever you want. All right, Chaos Knights up next. War Dog Stalker. Or you just know this one off your top?
What is it? This was Stalker, 5 Brigands, Huntsman, 5 Carnivores.
That's it. Nice and clean. It's
4 Brigands, 6 Carnivores. I don't know. No, 5 Brigands, 1 Huntsman, 6 Carnivores, right? That's it. It's all Knights. It's no demons.
Yeah. That's correct. Something I would have considered playing had I been coming to WTC. I like the look of this list. I may have been a wild man and played the Rampager. That's actually something I'm going to find out. Did anybody bring a Rampager to WTC?
Someone brought 2.
Wow. That's a lad. Yep. That's a crazy lad. I love that. What do you make of this list? I mean, it is just War Dogs, but how do you feel about War Dogs in the meta at the moment at WTC?
Yeah, they're really good. They like a bit of pairings priority. They're pretty solid. They're good into Sisters, good into T-Suns. Kind of terrible into BA, to be fair. They kind of really hate Blood Angels. They kind of hate Wolfjail. They don't really like Marines at the moment in general. But they're good into a few other things that are good in the meta, and that's a good enough reason to think about them and consider them, I think.
Agreed. All right, next up we have Guard Combined Regiment, of course. Death Corps Marshal, which makes me already assume there's going to be 20 Kriegsmen. Gaunt's Ghosts, Lord Solar, Military Pistol Command Squad with Medipack, and then just guns, Regimental Standard. Platoon Command Squad, Tank Commander with Demolisher and what you'd expect. Ursula Creed, so quite a few characters there. 1 unit of 10 Catachans. Yep, there's 20 Death Corps Kriegsmen in a single squad. 10 infantry, 6 Bulgaren, an Earthshaker, 10 Kassakin, double Manticore, double Scout Sentinel, and then 10 5/5 Scions. This is an interesting one. As a Guard player, this is lacking a lot of damage, but this is a defender for sure, right? This
has bodies for days. It's it's a really interesting list. Like I said, it's a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably got a really specific pairings purpose that I'm obviously not across. I think that it doesn't really have the punch. I like the 2-man scores. I think man scores are great because they're relatively self-sufficient in the in the current meta. They're good. They shoot things with 5 models. They get rerolls. They have heavy, so they don't really need any of the other stuff going on to to make them do their thing. They kind of just sit there and do their thing, which is good. I think that it's just an interesting list, and it's probably got a really specific purpose, and I'm not sure what that is. But
20 Death Corps Krieg with the Marshal for the 5-up Feel No Pain is actually kind of a unit at WTC. I think that actually is a cute unit. They got 2 grenade launchers, 2 melter guns, 2 plasma guns, 2 plasma pistols, right? And as soon as they're below half strength, which is pretty much the breakpoint you'll get to when it's just special weapons left, they all get +1 hit, +1 a wound. Actually is a really cool unit. I wish, like many other Guard lists, I wish this one had more Bulgaren. I think Bulgaren are actually quite key to a lot of the pairings not being reds, not necessarily making a lot of pairings into greens, but making a lot of matchups not reds. I think you're quite reliant on Bulgaren. And a single Earthshaker I actually quite like a lot, because a lot of the time you will need something to just sit on a back objective. And Earthshaker might as well be an Earthshaker.
I don't hate that at all. Again, I think the man scores are still a really good choice. I really like man scores in most Guard lists now, just because they kind of do their own thing and they're self-sufficient. I think it's pretty solid. I wouldn't complain if I was sort of having this in my lineup. I don't play shooting armies, but I wouldn't want to play it. But if someone on my team wanted to play it, I'd say makes sense. Seems like
easy.
A list that can do some things.
It seems like a good smother list. It's just got so many units that are just going to score, then die, and you don't care. This list, it's going to be hard to hold this list off 65 points in a game, which means that they're just never going to get 20'd. All right, Tyranids, Crusher frickin' Stampede, making its way from out of nowhere. I think all the WTC teams, well, it seems like 4 or 5 of them were secretly like, Crusher's good, right? In their own little circles. And it has emerged from the wilderness. Old One Eye, the Swarm Lord, Neuro Tyrant, 10 Gargs, 2x10 Hormers, single Biovore, double Exocrines, double Lictor, single Neurolictor, single Pyrovore, Trigon, and then triple Tyrannofex, all with Rupture Cannons. I will go out on a limb. I don't love the Tyrannofexes with Rupture Cannons. That's the only thing I don't like about this list. Everything else is sick. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I think they're like trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist with this army, to be fair. This is just like,
okay,
you don't really need this level of anti-tank.
Tyranid Daka, because you've got double Exo as well. So double Exo, triple Tyranno.
Yeah, you really don't need this much. I think this is trying to solve a problem that just isn't a real problem. And that's okay. Like sometimes you get a meta read wrong. You know, you sort of you think you're going to need answers to certain things, and you turn up and there's like not enough of that thing at the event. You know, obviously they took Chaos Knights, so they're considering Chaos Knights a top tier faction.
This is the Chaos Knight killing factory.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like that sort of tells you where their head's at regarding what they think, you know, the meta is like at the moment. And obviously, obviously we're seeing that it's just sort of like they're coming from a point of view that like all mech is good, so let's have things that kill mech. But if no one brings mech, then you're kind of left holding the bag, and the bag is 570 points of Tyrannofexes at this situation.
Yeah, 190 a piece, so just shy. So yeah, 570 for the triple Tyrannos.
Yep.
Yeah, wild. I still think in singles this is a totally fine list. For my mind, I drop one Tyranno, 100%, and maybe switch one of the other ones over to the Flamer. But I still think Crusher's. Actually, what do you think of Crusher? Do you think Crusher's good? Like, do you think people are onto it? Like, Crusher might be a good detachment?
I think Crusher's fine. I think personally I would gravitate to something, you know, like Vanguard, you know, something with a little bit more tricks. Crusher doesn't actually give a lot of these data sheets that much power. You're really paying. You're really doing it for strats and like for opening stuff up. Like the OC, I don't think really matters. You know, you're usually going to out OC things with the monsters, and if you don't, people will say, "What OC is that guy?" And if you say 3 or you say 5. They're just going to put 2 extra guys in the objective, right? Like it's not actually helping you hold primary you wouldn't hold otherwise. All it's doing is like making your opponent invest slightly more, you know, in order to, you know, to stop you, right? So I think that again, the strats are pretty good, and that's really what you're unlocking. You know, you're unlocking strats. You're not playing Crusher to play for the detachment ability as such. It really is just strats. And honestly, I would probably just play something very similar in Vanguard.
All right. Next one, we have Blood Angels. So we've got a captain with a jump pack, Commander Dante. Yes, Dante. Lamarti's Sang Priest with jump pack, Icon of the Angel, Sang Priest with jump pack, Visage of Death, and the Sanguinor. So 3 special characters making into this. When we have 3 units of Assault Intercessor with jump pack, 2x5, 1x10, a Baal Pred, a Death Company Dread, you mad lad, 10 Death Company with jump packs, and then some scouts, 10 Vanguard veterans, and a Calidus assassin. I do really like the Calidus in Blood Angels. I think if of all the armies in the game, the Calidus to me makes the most sense in Blood Angels because, making people pay more to try and knock down your Lamarti's unit or whatnot, because usually people would need to use CP to try and punch that down in one turn in combat. Feels really good. And she gets up in the mix without being a priority target because, of course, you want to gun down all the crazy-ass lunatics coming at you. What do you make of this list?
Yeah, like there's not a lot you can really do wrong with BA. Like most of the choices are pretty straightforward. Like obviously, I'm talking within reason here. Right? You can obviously go and take things intentionally to make your list terrible, and then say, "Oh, look, you said you couldn't make a bad BA list." Well, you can, but this has just a selection of good units. Now, is the Death Company Dread optimal? No. However, if your opponent doesn't do the right thing, then like it does technically fight forever. Like it does technically never stop hitting you.
So my opinion is that WTC, the Death Company Dread, is a bad pick because I think the Death Company Dread is only good when you can assume your opponents are going to make a mistake. At WTC, you should never kind of assume your opponents are going to make a mistake. But I freaking love it. I love that this guy took it, and I will not say it is wrong. I just say I probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, you're spot on, right? Like it's a choice. Like it's definitely, you're not taking it thinking, oh, I'm really going to outplay my opponent with this company dread. They're not going to see this coming. Like let's be real. Every single person in the hall knows what that model does, right?
Correct.
Like every single person there knows there's some mad lab with a Death Company dread. Don't. Company dread. However, in the heat of the moment, man, people still forget, Corn Berserker's Blood Surge. Like people forget the Death Company dread can fight forever. It's definitely a choice. Is it going to pay off? I think no, but I also think it will be absolutely hilarious if it does. I will clap for the guy when he fights 6 times with his Death Company dread.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything else is pretty standard, right? Like 10-man Death Company is the right amount of Death Company. The Van Vet unit, I don't personally love, but I get it. The 10-man Jump Assault unit is great. Everything else is just good MSU. I think it's a good list.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And I think once you've got those 3 units in, the 10 Assault Intercessors or 2x10 Assault Intercessors, if you don't take the Vanguard Vets, and the 10 Death Company, it's kind of pretty open what you do from there. You kind of can't make it a horrific list because you've got 3 of the best melee units in the game. But yeah, 100%. All right, moving on. We have the last list. This one is Tau Empire. It is of the Montcar variety. Montcar's Killing Blow. Yeah.
That is correct. This is the fast boys.
Yeah, go fast. It's assault. It's everything gets assault. Cadre Fireblade with Strike Swiftly, and another Cadre Fireblade. Commander Shadow Sun and Dark Strider. 2 units of breaches with 2 Devilfish to tote them around. Single Ghost Keel, double Hammerheads with Ions, of course. A single Crutox Rider, which I actually adore. 35 points for a Crutox Rider, I think, is a bargain. 1 unit of Pathfinders. 2 single Piranhas. Triple Riptide, and then I'm assuming it's 2x3. Yeah, 2x3 stealth suits. Yeah, this is just a great Tau list.
It's the good Montcar army, right? This is pretty similar. There's probably going to be 10 lists that are within 500 points of each other here, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing particularly exciting about it. It's not particularly innovative, but it's just good stuff.
So the only real choice I see here is choosing to take the Ghost Keel. A lot of people are skewing away from the Ghost Keel because it does get you a Hammerhead and then 15 points left over, or you find another 20 points and you go up for the third Riptide. But you've already got the third Riptide. It's pretty much just whether you want the third Hammerhead or you can sub it out, the Ghost Keel out for a Sky Ray. I think at WTC a single Ghost Keel is a fantastic option. When you're playing in those 10-10 games, those yellows, and you just jam a Ghost Keel on your expansion objective, it's just such a pain in the ass for your opponent. It just starts signaling to your opponent that they should stop trying to win the game and start playing more passively, because trying to expose yourself versus this army to go and pick up a Ghost Keel, you need to there are so few armies that can put out 1 unit and pick up a Ghost Keel. It's just such a pain in the balls. And that's one of your best units to go and pick up this Ghost Keel. So I love a single Ghost Keel in this. I think it's a great choice. What do you make of the Ghost Keel?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it just does something the rest of the army doesn't do, and that's pretty valuable, right? It's a lone op, and there's no lone op in the rest of the army. So I think it does something that the army would like to have. In the shooting matchups, having lone ops is pretty valuable. So
yeah, huge.
Based on that alone, I think it's it's a good choice.
Because ostensibly that's when you say there's 300, 400 points difference, taking Ghost Kill or not is one of those differences. But all right, that is Norway. So in totality, I think Norway has made some picks based on meta reads. I think they are hunting mech very heavily, and then they have lists like the guard list that doesn't lose to mech very, very heavily. So it's almost like they've skewed their whole 8-pack for this vision, and we're gonna have to wait and see if that vision is correct. But they've got some very strong lists in here. I quite like many of these lists. I love that Tau list. I am a fan of the guard list. I am quite a bigger fan of the Necron one feels awkward to me in this 8-pack, because I'm kind of not getting what it's doing here. But of this 8-pack, what do you think needs table pick, and what do you think needs any protection?
Yeah, so you're right. The Necrons are a bit weird. I'm not sure what the go is exactly with that. The Tau really like table pick. I think
The T Suns actually with the five shooting assets pretty much as well.
Yeah, that's it. So the T Suns, sorry, the Tower want to scout things. They want preferable table pick for that. The T Suns, you're right, have like 5 models on the big bases that don't fly to move around. So they want a table pick. Chaos Knights usually want a little bit of choice for table pick. I think it's difficult to get all of the things you want in pairings. Yeah, I think some armies are going to end up playing on tables they don't want to be on. That would be my concern with the 8 stack. That being said, I think into other teams that sort of have played into the meta the way they sort of have read the meta to be, they're going to be pretty efficient. They're going to do very well if their meta read is correct.
Easy done. Well done, Norway, on your 8-pack, and looking forward to shaking hands with all of you at some point during the event. Come say good day. Love yous all. All right, moving on to the US of A, which will be our last team that we're unpacking this episode. And considering how long this episode's going, we're only going to do 2 nations on part 2. I'm going to roll a D3 and delete one of them because this actually takes ages. All right, first up, we have their Dark Angels, which they were keeping close to their chest, and I guessed anyway. Ha ha, John. You thought I wouldn't find out. All right, but we have a Gladius Task Force, Apothecary Biologists with Fire Discipline, Azrael, and the Judicia. 5 Assault Intercessors. That's actually where Azrael's going to be hanging out, just with the 5 Assault Intercessors. And then we've got 2 units of Assault Intercessors with Jump Pack, just 5s. 15 Deathwing Knights, which is terrifying. 6-man Eradicator Squad, 5 Infiltrators, 6 Inner Circle Companions, where the Judicia is going to go, a Repulsor to tote around the Eradicators and the Apothecary, and then a Callous Assassin and some Voidsmen at Arms. This is I'm having played like a worse version of this list just a couple of weeks ago. This list is very good.
Yeah, it's chunky. It's very chunky. I think it's cool. I'm not really a Marine player. The Repulsor's a bit funny. Like, Repulsors have been kind of memed on for a very long time, and here we have it at WTC.
So this list is hunting other melee matchups. So it loves to play against Blood Angels, loves to play against lists that are going to try and push on it. And the Repulsor is a key part of that because, of course, you can reactive move if someone moves within 9 and get back in the Repulsor, or if someone declares a charge on you and you're wholly within 3 inches, you just get back in without having to spend the CP. So if someone comes in within 9 inches and tries to blow you up, say with a Morven Vials unit, you just bunk it back in the Repulsor and they go shoot through that. Or if someone's trying to charge you with Lamani's Intent Death Company, you just get back in the Repulsor as well. So there's the jank there. I've been really impressed with and then of course he's got 6 Inner Circle Companions with Fights First, which is actually a huge pain in the ass for all of those. And then there's no even Blood Angels. I think only Lamani's unit will go and pick up 5 Deathwing Knights. Like only the 10 Death Company will pick up 10 Deathwing Knights, 5 Deathwing Knights rather. Outside that, no other unit kind of has enough weight of dice to guarantee it in one phase. So yeah, it's just here to be an absolute brick wall against people trying to use aggressive tactics to push for 20s.
Yeah, look, it's basically Custodes, right? Like that's kind of what
better Custodies, way better Custodies.
Yeah, maybe, or it's no, maybe is wrong. It's definitely better Custodies. Is it better than Custodies were last year? Probably not.
Probably not.
Like Deathwing Knights kind of do more damage, but also they're one of those interesting units where if you kill 3 of them, the last 2 just do nothing.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's good for that. It's going to score points. I think people aren't going to respect it, and it'll table some people. But when they do, you're kind of just playing again. You're playing to get slightly more points than your opponent thinks you're going to get. He's going to have 10s in his matrix. His opponent's going to have 12, and he's going to come back with a 12, and they're going to go up 2. Other team's going to go down 4, and it's useful to have a list like that in your lineup.
Agreed. This like auto greens into a lot of the T-Suns lists. It auto greens into a lot of the Necrons lists. It beats the other Marine lists. Like this just has. I'm not sure how this goes into Sisters. That's the only one that I'm curious about, because all the miracle dice on the melters kind of just negate the -1 damage of the Knights. So you kind of just can pick and choose when you want them to die. Which is actually a big problem for him. And also the amount of mortal wounds will go through any of the units that don't have that once per game Watcher in the Dark. And then again, that Watcher in the Dark is only once per game. So, next time you try and use the Seraphim Squad on them, they get deaded. But the reason I call them, I played the 15 Deathwing Knights, and I called them like if Wardens and Wraiths had a baby. So they do more.
Right.
They do more damage than Wraiths, less damage than Wardens. Model for model. But they have a reactive move like Wraiths do in Canoptic, and they have advance and charge like Wardens do in things. So they're like a kind of a middle road between the two.
Yep.
Anyway,
I can say that. Yeah.
We have another freaking Crusher Stampede. This one is pretty spicy. Old One Eye and the Swarmlord are the only characters. 10 Gargs, the same 2x10 Homogans, the same single Bivor, the same double Exocrine, triple Lictor, no Neuro Lictor, a single Morlock, a single Pyrovore, a single Trigon, and the same triple Tyrannofex with Rupture Cannons. Man, they're just convinced they're onto it. Maybe we're wrong, mate.
This is really good against the other Crusher list.
Which Crusher will reign supreme? Which Crusher is better, you think?
I guess this one, because Old One Eye and the Swarmlord are good.
Well, he's got Old One Eye on the other one. I don't think he had the Swarmlord, though.
No, so I guess the Swarmlord's the difference maker, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he's a bit of a house.
There you go. That's the corner. Yeah,
solved. We figured it.
It's all the Swarmlord diff.
You're gonna make me go and check now, mate.
No, he definitely doesn't.
I was pretty sure he didn't. But yeah, I still people are onto this. This is one where I'm not a believer just yet. No, he does have the Swarmlord. I apologize. He's got Old One Eye, Swarmlord, Neuro Tyrant. Happy I checked. But yeah, we are just not convinced, you and I, on the Tyrannofexes. So I'm happy to be wrong, but I'll wait to see the proof in the pudding.
Yep.
Seeing as we've already spoken about that list, we'll probably just move on. Next up, we have their sisters list, which of course is Bringer of Flame, Canoness with Fire and Fury, Jump Pack, Celestine and the Triumph of St. Catherine, Triple Immolator, triple Castigator here, so big DACA, and then triple Dominion squads, single Pendant Engine again, and then 10-5-5 Seraphim. So this is much more focused. This is a much more focused list. A lot more hulls in here as well. An additional Immolator over the previous one, and 2 additional Castigators over the previous also. 3 in its Dominions, and then they still got the 10 Seraphim. I like this list a lot more personally. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really good. Again, it doesn't have Val, which is interesting. We've seen
but it doesn't have Paragons. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Sorry, it doesn't. It doesn't have Val. It doesn't have Valgons at all. It has none of that. That package at all. I think the plan here is going to be to avoid the matchups where you really need them, or exactly. You don't think those matchups are going to be prevalent enough that you have to, sort of play around them, right? I think it's really good until you need the Paragons. Like if you roll up to a matchup where you really need the Paragons, you don't have them. Like nothing really fills that void. There's nothing in the army that can kind of really.
There's no huge heavy lifter.
That's it, right? But at the same time, you have so many medium pieces here. Do you need it? It just plays more MSU. I really like it. I think it's really good.
I like it a lot.
I think it needs a little bit more pairings priority than some other sisters lists do, with the ones that used to have Val and could just face roll things. Yep. But again, if you have that pairings bandwidth, and we've already seen. So far, that Dark Angels list needs 0 pairings priority. So maybe that's part of the strategy, right? Maybe the strategy here is that we're just going to play lists that don't need pairings priority, and then pick a few that do, and then get the best possible matchups for those, and kind of hope that that works in our favor.
That's the way to do it, right? You only want a max. Obviously, I think 3 lists that want pairing priority is too many as well. I think you want 1 or 2 that need to have need some level of table priority, and then the rest is just we want to be happy and just get the good pairings if we can, but the table pick doesn't matter. All right, next up we have Thousand Suns, Ahriman, Exalted, and 2 Exalted Source.
It is almost point for point the exact same as the Norway list,
but he's got a Zangor Shaman. Thank you very much.
Yeah, almost.
Triple Megalith, double Unit of Chaos Spawn, and double Forge Fiend. Yeah, it's pretty much just exactly the same archetype. Seeing a lot more spawn making into lists as well, which I was really cute because they had the minus OC auras, and for 65 points, they're actually very durable. And
the Thousand Suns ones actually don't, man. The Thousand Suns ones don't get that.
What do they have instead?
They get a Feel No Pain and a 5+ Invuln.
That's much better. I like that heaps more.
Yeah, it's good.
They're even more durable. But yeah, this is a sick list. This will do really well. But we've covered it already. So moving on. The next up, we have one of the very spicy picks by Team USA. This is a Green Tide of Orcs. It starts off with a double Beast Boss, and then a triple Pain Boy, No enhancements so far. A single war boss has bloodthirsty belligerence, and then 2 more war bosses, bare bones, and then brutal but cunning goes on a weird boy. And then how many boys we got? We got 20 boys, 20 boys, 20 boys, 10 boys. So what is that? That's 70 boys, 2 trucks, and then 30 flash kits, 25 flash kits rather, 10 Gretchen, and 2 units of Storm Boys. So 70 boys, 25 flash kits, some Gretchen and some Storm Boys, and a couple of trucks. This is wild. What do you think?
Yeah. Again, I think this is probably their other list that kind of wants a bit of pairings parity, right? Because this
will run people. This will still run people over. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's like I don't personally love the low boy economy. Green Tide. Like, I thought you need to kind of go all in and overwhelm someone to make lists like this kind of work. However, I do think that the flash kits sort of have an interesting dimension to the army that other Green Tide armies don't have. So I think, again, it wants to play certain things. It wants to play, these armies that they can bully with the boys. They can sort of like push around a little bit with the boys, but then also kind of trade back on their shooting pieces with the flash kits. Get a bit of value that way. And also having only 70 boys does mean you need table. So you need table pick slightly less. You still kind of need table pick. You still kind of need some sort of table pick. But it's a good list for just scoring points, right? Like, this is going to score points. It's going to gum people up. It's going to put a bunch of OC on objectives and make things hard for people.
Well, the thing is, like, with some table protection, this thing can't get 20'd, right? That's pretty much the baseline you're operating from. You cannot blow this list out of the water. It's just got too much OC and too much toughness, too many wounds. So I think if just operating from that baseline and then putting a superstar player on it is this list can't be bad. Is where I'm coming from.
Correct. And I think you look at the lineup, right? You're like, well, look, they put up some things and this goes in and the Dark Angels go in, and it's like, well, great, you're not scoring points.
Exactly right.
You're not getting a real score because you're playing 2 things that are just impossible to get big scores off of.
In addition, the flash kits mean that you don't just lose to a gunline army that can screen. And I think that's really important because I look at the Tau matchup without the flash kits, and I'm like, Tau's just kind of fine. 10 breaches in a Devilfish is like a real problem all of a sudden because it kind of just kills a unit of its choice. You can't really stop it. But all of a sudden the flash kits really open that up. All right, next up we have the World Eaters. Master of Executions with the Berserker Glaive, Angron, Khan the Betrayer, and Lord Invo. 10 Jackals, 10 Jackals. 10 Zerkers, 5 Zerkers, 3 8-bound, 3 Exalted 8-bound, 6 Exalted 8-bound, 2 Spawn, a single unit of Spawn, and double Rhino. So pretty conventional. One more Rhino than I'm used to seeing, but I get it. I get that you want Khan in with the 10 or the 5 and the Mo in with the other one, and they both need Rhinos. But then the 8-bound selections, so only a single unit of regular 8-bound, then 3 and 6 Exalted. Of course, the 6 Exalted 8-bound, one of the killiest units in the game. Then plus Angron, you've got 2 of the biggest hammers that can be wielded. How do you feel about it? I feel like this is taking the place of their Blood Angels list. Instead of they're like, well, we want the aggro that Blood Angels would have brought, but we think Dark Angels is better for our lineup. How do we get that back? And of course, you probably know who this player is as well.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it personally. I think that player on the list, kind of like you sort of take it because you've got the player, right? You take it because
you got a faction specialist.
You got that faction specialist there. I think the list is totally fine. I think that conventional World Eaters have some problems in WTC. I think even Anthony himself said it on Stat Check that he was surprised so many other people took World Eaters because they were teams that didn't have him, and he's almost right. It's not necessarily a conventionally successful faction. That being said, it's definitely a faction that benefits from table pick. It's a faction that benefits from some matchup choice. It's a faction that does win its winning matchups. Well, the problem with it is you can't really defend with it because you get pinned. And you have to attack with it, and people can just keep rejecting you till the end, and all of a sudden you end up in a situation where you're in the auto pair, and the other team's taken all the heavy tables out. You're in the auto pair on a light table. It's just a little bit scary when that happens.
And then you go second. But you're absolutely right. The issue I think a lot of other nations have come to, I've even heard it from them, are saying that World Eaters are good, But their issues are they only have greens and reds in the pairings process. They have super greens and super reds, and that is too much uncertainty for some people. But it just shows the confidence that Team USA has in their player and their pairings process that they took it. So enough said. Moving on to one of the heartthrobs. I'm going to shout him out. Andrew Gagnon. So happy to see him back on Team USA after taking, I think, about 4 or 5 years away. But absolute legend of a human being, playing Kauyon Tau. We have Cadre Fireblades, 2 of them, Shadow Sun, and a Cold Star Battlesuit Commander with Exemplar of the Kauyon. We have 2 breaches in 2x10 breaches in 2 fish. Sunforge Crisis team, which is the fusion team. Single Ghost Kill, a single Hammerhead, only single Hammerhead, 10 Pathfinders, double Piranha, I'm assuming triple Riptide. Yep, no, double Riptide only. Only double Riptide, Stealth Suits, and Stealth Suits. So costing quite a lot to get the Sunforged unit in, because this doesn't seem to have anywhere near as much shooting as I'm used to. But the Sunforged unit is definitely X Factor.
Yeah, the Sunforged unit in Kauyon, once you get that sustained hits, is
brutal,
monstrous. That unit is absolutely horrifying if you just so happen to have one of the profiles that likes shooting into.
Which, of course, you'll be pairing into pretty... you'll be hunting those pairings pretty happily.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think this is... it's one of these lists again.
There was a page cut off. It does have 3 Riptides. My bad.
I
was like, yes. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right having 2 Riptides. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, this is again another one of those armies that kind of needs a little bit of pairings priority here, but it delivers pretty good results when it gets it. I don't know. Like, Kauyon seems like it's an unpopular choice this event. Like, if you look at it, like, how many people have Kauyon? It's far less than Montcar. I know that Ret Cat is less again, but like, it's not a particularly popular faction or particularly popular way. Like, I guess Tau is a popular faction because most teams have it, but most people have gone the Montcar route. I think this list is pretty good though. I think this is probably kind of the stuff that you want. Admittedly, the Montcar and Kauyon lists are kind of the same. They're very similar. I think that's actually really interesting. Jen, we've done a good job with the Tau book in that vein. They've made the books like you can kind of build the same models for both detachments and just play them in very different ways. And that's nice, right? You kind of sucks to build a Space Marine army and like you build a Blood Angels army and you want to play Ironstorm and your army just doesn't function. At least you can kind of play it both ways. And I think that this has a lot of the same stuff the Montcar lists do. It's just got a few cool tech pieces that make it slightly better into some matchups and obviously slightly worse into some others. Yeah.
I think if to speak to that, like, the only reason I can come to that Montcar would be favoured over Kauyon, because I see them as both pretty in singles. I think it's a coin flip for which is better. Yep. I think people want the confidence of advance and shoot on WTC boards so that table pick becomes less of an issue. So that if they do find themselves on a table that was not premium for them, they feel like they can at least make adjustments. And in addition, front loading your power rather than back loading your power in a lot of mission structures is just more better. Like, get your scoring done early, get your points in for your team, make sure you're not getting blown out. I think, once again, it speaks to the confidence of the USA. I think Kauyon definitely speaks to the confidence of the player. We have one more list. This is Eldari, Battle Host. Autark Wayleaper, Fate's Messenger, Fugan, Jane freaking Zar, mate, and the Yinkan. 2x5 units of Howling Banshees, 5 Rangers, 3 units of 2 Skyweavers, 5 Swooping Hawks, 2 Void Weavers. First time I've seen them this edition. 2 War Walkers and 2 units of Warp Spiders. So the freaking Yinkan makes it in back-to-back WTCs after innumerable nerfs in between. But this is spicy as hell. And once again, this is a specialist on this faction, somebody who's taken similar lists and done extremely well at WTCs for multiple years. What do you make of it?
I don't get it. I don't understand people who still think Eldar are good, honestly. Like, maybe that's a hot take. I think Eldar's a rubbish army.
Love it. They're the second best performing teams faction, apparently, according to the internet stats.
I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. Like, you're paying... Look at this. Look at this. Warp spiders, 25 points a model for a 1 wound T3 dude with a 3-up. Let me just paint you a picture, right? All right, let me paint you a picture. 125 points gets you 5 warp spiders, right? Do you know what you can get for a slight increase in that investment? You know, I'm going to tell you that's what you can get for a few more points than that. Okay, imagine a unit, all right? You get 5 models. Instead of having 5 models of T3 with a 3+ armor save, imagine that you get 3 wounds each with a 2+ armor save and a 4+ invulnerable save and their T5. Imagine that. You know what they are? They're World Eaters Terminators.
World Eaters Terminators. Yes.
For not many more points, you can have a World Eaters Terminator. And you know what those guys have? They have, you know what Warp Spiders have got going for them? They have a ranged weapon with dev wounds, right? It's pretty good. You know what World Eaters Terminators have?
A ranged weapon with dev wounds.
You know what Warp Spiders don't have?
That was so well done, by the way.
Don't have a power fist on every model.
But they have a close combat weapon. Watch out. The Exarch's got like a shiv or something.
Yeah. And you know what Warp Spiders don't get? Because Warp Spiders, they're a T3 1 wound model. When they're below half strength, they don't get +1 to hit and wound. You know what does? World Eaters bloody Terminators.
Oh, I love it. I'm just sitting here looking at the Void Weaver data sheet right now. So in your shooting phase, after this model is shot, select one enemy unit. They have to take a battle shock, so you can force some battle shocks here and there. Which cannon has he got on his? He has a prismatics. So that is 2 profiles, both 36-inch range. One's 2d6 blast, bolt gun profile, so 401, or the focus lance with essentially two baby las cannon shots. So instead of being d6 +1 at strength 12 AP3, they're just flat 4. I actually quite like that. 2 shots at 12, 3, 4 is actually kind of juicy. How many points are they though? They're like 150?
I believe so, about that. Yep.
You're 115. 115. Ah, shit. No, 115.
Cheaper, actually. Yep.
Woo, yeah, I like that. Yeah, they might be onto something. But yeah, obviously, this list was built to confuse and confound the senses because it doesn't make sense. It's a bunch of units that I would consider to be relatively awful. Like, I mean, it's got Jane Czar instead of having the Striking Scorpion dude. What's his name? Karandris, who I would have thought would have been a much better pick. Powling Banshees instead of Scorpions, of course. So Rangers. Skyweavers are actually, I think Skyweavers are fantastic. Very light on the Swooping Hawks, and naturally no Spectres, but Spectres are pretty freaking expensive now. So
yeah, they did. Well, Hawks did go up in points as well. I think it's one of those things where they were a great unit when they were super cheap, and now they're a bit less cheap. You know, they do literally do nothing. Like they shoot some lethal hit. Las guns, right? Like they do literally
nothing. Damage. Yeah, they make mandrakes look superstars. In fact, I think mandrakes are good, but yeah, they make mandrakes look so freaking good by comparison. All right, last one we want to talk about on this is the Yinkan dude. What the hell?
Yeah, so you know what? I actually think it's people have forgotten how good the Yinkan is.
Me too.
Can't Phantasm or anything like that anymore. But like, I think Sean's just decided, hey, people have forgotten the Yinkan is good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the Yinkan is still good. Now, it's nowhere near as good as it used to be, but it is. It's definitely not bad by any stretch. Like, you'd have to, you'd have to be pretty clueless to think the Yinkan is a bad unit. Now, is it anywhere near as good as it used to be? No, but. You forget about it. It's hard to play against. It's one of those things where you spend 2 hours trying to outthink the Eldar player and you're out of time on the clock.
You're paying 350 points to just slap a psychological tax on your opponent. That's what the Yinkan is to me. Just slap a very hefty psychological tax. You are going to waste like dead set 15 to 20 minutes of your clock every turn, making sure you don't get effed by the Yinkan.
Yeah, and look, now that I've gone out here and I've very vocally shit talked this list, I believe Sean's probably going to go top 5 battle points for the whole. You're actually welcome. I've done you a favor. I will collect my commission check at the end when you guys win. I've done my service to the USA.
So gracious. That brings us to the end of the USA's lists, and straight up, I'm proud of them. I'm proud that they have done so much, like of backing their faction specialists, like Gonyo, so like the Tower list, like the World Is list, and they're willing to back their players in. They're willing to back their pairings expertise, and their 8-pack just reads like a confidence pick. Like everything is picked with confidence because there's very few like none of their lists are super meta. Like, I mean, arguably the Sisters is the one that's closest to being like the on the meta. Everything else is off. The Orc list is not the meta list. The Eldari list is not the meta list. The Tyranids list is not the meta list. They have gone so far off. Man, they're copying the Aussies. Dead set, mate.
Well, look, we won in 2 years ago. Poland won last year. Yeah, I think they're learning that you to win, you actually have to go a little bit off meta. You don't have to go crazy, but you can't bring what everyone else is bringing in.
Correct.
To win.
Correct. So, man, no, I'm just going to take it. They're copying us. They're copying us. They want to be us. They ain't us. Too bad. But good luck to them.
That's news to no one, though, right? Like everyone knows.
But anyway, smack talk aside, all in good fun. That brings us to the end of the episode, mate.
Some interesting lists today. I think obviously the Polish list and the American list are probably a little bit better than the Norwegian team, but Norway going very off meta. I'm very keen to see how they do.
Yeah, well, they've been traveling quite a lot in the wider European scene. Like they went to a bunch of different team events and singles events, and man, if they've made their meta picks and their meta read based off those interactions, so you can't say it's incorrect until they rock up and put up. So I'm really, really keen to see how they do. But that's going to bring us to the end of the episode. We're going to go to part 2. And of the 3 teams that I read out that we were going to do, I'm going to scrap one because I don't have another hour and a half in me tonight. We have England, France, and Germany. Now, you said you want to do France because you think they've got their interesting list. So we're definitely going to do France. Then I'm going to roll a D6 off screen. And I'm going to 50-50. 1, 2, 3 is England. 4, 5, 6 is Germany. And the other one is getting dropped. But come over to part 2 on Patreon and listen in, and hopefully we will see you there. Matty, my man, thank you so much for joining us. Anything you'd like to say? Any you want to Babe Ruth your shot into the bleachers before we check out?
No, I think I'm past my my trash talking phase. Just Team Australia 40K on Facebook. See all the cool stuff we do.
Is the race still happening?
Yeah. I believe so. I haven't heard any different. I don't know. And see if Big Joe's still keen to put 50 euros on the line.
So pretty much there is a race that's going to happen between Matt Morosoli and Joe from War Games Live, which I will be filming. And 50 euros up for grabs to the winner. So 2 mighty athletes representing their nation pre-WTC. We'll see what happens. But that should be up probably going to go up on War Games Live, to be honest. But check that out. That'll probably be happening a day or 2 before the event. But all right, we're out of here. That's enough. See you later. I love you all.